thing newly what has come up in Singapore is the ice cream museum. So that is another fascinating thing for kids. When they travel, they can eat unlimited ice cream. They have the sprinkler pool, which is one of their main highlights. So something that always keeps the kid in focus. You can plan 4 to 5 days easily with your kid, and take Singapore as a family destination. Last, I would say it has always been a good corporate destination, but post Corona, a lot of corporates have started taking Singapore as a primary MICE destination. There are huge hotels. You have great conferencing facilities. Everything can be put into the place in regards to the client budget. The maximum of the corporate trips happen is 3 or 4 nights at the most, wherein they just cover the highlights. They have one conference event which addresses the entire, whether they are their retailers, whether they are their employees, and giving the maximum time to leisure. So there are any kind of category that you belong to, you can definitely travel to Singapore, and there is something for everybody in Singapore.
What are the top attractions in Singapore that first-time visitor should not miss?
Okay, now there is a lot to say about Singapore. It might seem small, but like I said, it's been on the forefront of every traveler, be it like individuals, corporates, mice, families, backpackers. All of them, prefer Singapore as a destination. So if you put in terms of attractions, I would say that we will categorize it in terms of parks, and then we'll come to the rest. The Singapore culture is very, very close, and they love gardens and gardening. So you will see a major part of the country and their culture imbibing gardening as one of the hobbies, or something that they go to very frequently. So starting with that, there is something called as Gardens by the Bay. It is one of the biggest greenhouse reserves, and you will find flora across the globe. They have made the greenhouse, and you'll find diverse plants, very beautiful. And even the Singapore's national flower, which is the orchids, you will find them in various colors and shapes. So definitely the Gardens by the Bay is one of the most prominent things that you could visit in Singapore. And there is in the evening, what happens, apart from the two domes, they are basically split into two domes. There is the flower dome, and there is a cloud forest. So once you enter the domes, there's a beautiful cascading waterfall that you would see, and you further continue your journey through the different kinds of fauna, that is flora, which is available inside. And you have about 6 levels inside. And the most interesting thing is they even have your plants, which like the Venus trap. So this is a carnivorous plant. So they have about 2 or 3 varieties of carnivorous plants, which are hardly seen or heard of. So it's very, very informative and a beautiful experience for people to visit. Apart from that, Gardens by the Bay, I would recommend people to visit towards the evening. If they can schedule it in the itinerary at around 5 p.m., it gives them ample amount of time to cover both the domes, as well as experience the light show, which happens at the solar domes. These domes light up, and it's a sight to behold, which happens from 7:45 until 8:15 every day in the evening. So that is some specific insight for the viewers. If they are scheduling Gardens by the Bay, they should do it in the evening. Apart from this, the major two parks which nobody should miss when they are in Singapore is the Universal Studios and the Sentosa itself. Now, Sentosa is a very, very big island by itself. It's a huge part of Singapore, and Universal Studios is merely a small part. But Sentosa has huge number of experiences catering to any kind of traveler, whether you're looking at adrenaline activities, whether you're looking at beaches, whether you're looking at some very, very good culinary experiences. Sentosa has it all. So people usually start their journey in Sentosa. They visit SEA, which is basically the Sea Aquarium. Beautiful. They have a walk-through underwater tunnel that they have created, and it's really mesmerizing, especially for kids, for teenagers, or probably whoever visits. They will be left awestruck for sure. They come through different sections, and it takes at least 1 to 1.5 hours just to cover the SEA Aquarium, which is a part of Sentosa. Now, apart from this, the highlights of Sentosa, there is Madame Tussauds. You have the SkyHelix. You have an indoor skydive experience, which is basically created, and people can opt for it. They get an almost real skydive experience indoors. And you have the Wings of Time show. Now, this is something that I think every traveler to Singapore has always seen. It's by default in the itineraries, and people don't want to miss it. It's a show of about 25 to 30 minutes, basically the journey through time, but very beautifully depicted to water, light, sound, and fireworks. So it's brilliant. Do not miss. If you're in Sentosa, do visit the show. And you need one full day to cover complete Sentosa. There is Luge ride. Luge ride is basically a single rider vehicle, which basically you can accelerate and brake. It comes downhill. You go by the cable car on top. Your chair lifted on top, and then you take the luge ride and you come down. So very very nice. And then you have like this multiple experiences that you can create inside the Sentosa, and post which you complete your gondola. So there is a cable car which is about three stations. You have the Fairmont station, then they take you on top. So three different stations, and the entire cable car journey takes about 30 minutes, and it's beautiful. You get the lengths and breadths of Singapore. The entire view of Sentosa is magical. So do not miss the gondola or the cable car when you're there. And you even have stay options inside Sentosa for people who do not want to travel from the city, and they want to stay in some really high-end resorts. So I would suggest people to spend some time inside Sentosa. There is also a water park called as the Adventure Cove. That is again an addition. Like I told you, Sentosa has way too many things, and people can just bifurcate, choose what suits them the best. So they can do even the Adventure Cove park, especially traveling with the children. That would require another day altogether. And ultimately, your Universal Studios, which is basically the concept of a theme park, completely designed around the animation characters of the Universal Studios. And you have the most interesting section over there is the ancient Egypt section, with a concept called as a dark roller coaster, or basically you're completely in dark. So it's a very very thrilling experience. Definitely shouldn't miss that. Then there's a Transformers section. There is a parade that happens. So different sections that have been created into Universal. I suggest people to start early, at least reach Universal by say like 10 o'clock, and about 6 o'clock, 6:30, I think you would get done with Universal. So probably Sentosa alone has a lot to speak on, but these are the major highlights about Sentosa and Universal as well. Apart from this, also there is the flyer. After the London flyer, like we all know it, the London Eye, Singapore has its own version called as the Singapore Flyer, which is a 45 minutes or a 50 minutes capsule ride, very close to the Marina Bay Sands, the iconic hotel in Singapore. So you get some very good views of the bay. I really recommend it to people who are not looking at a very hectic activity, just want to spend time grabbing some great views. I would suggest them to try even the flyer at this one. And basically, there is a city tour. Your city tour basically can be put into many versions, but the most important highlight in your city tour would be the waterfront. You have a waterfront, which basically you have the Merlion. Now, Merlion is the tourism symbol of Singapore. If you ever search about Singapore, any images or whatever it is, you will see an image or basically a representation of a half lion and a half fish. Basically, the lower structure is a fish, the body of a fish, and the upper structure is that of a lion. So that is the tourism symbol of Singapore. It has really good views. People spend a lot of time clicking pictures at the Merlion as well, right very close to the Fullerton Hotel, which is also an iconic hotel in the Singapore. So these are the major highlights which one shouldn't miss. There are many more like the night safari, river wonders. If you're traveling, night safari is basically a complete amphitheater plus a tramp ride dedicated to the nocturnal animals. So you would get a complete I would say they have about 15 to 20 different species, much more. But in the show, that the amphitheater show, you have the owls and a lot of different animals which are portrayed in the form of a show, and people can attend the show and then do the tramp ride. They even have a walking trail for people who have more time and want to explore it leisurely. You can do that. It is also attached to the Singapore Zoo. So what ideally we recommend is people take the 4-in-1 combo, which is basically including your bird park. It'll include night safari, the Singapore Zoo, and the River Wonders. The River Wonders is again it's instead of doing the safari by the tram, you'll be doing it on a boat, and there are different animals that you can spot. The boat just keeps moving, and you can see animals both in your left and right. It's a beautiful experience again. So these are the major highlights of Singapore, if I have to put it in that way.
So thank you, Akash, for this wonderful insight. I think
Yes.
you've not missed any location of Singapore. I think our viewers will get all the insights from this.
Great.
What, as a travel agency, do you recommend the itinerary should be? And as you mentioned about Sentosa, Sentosa being a different island within Singapore and has a lot of things to see. How much of that itinerary is Sentosa? I think 2 days, 3 days. What do you recommend?
See, basically, what we see is it completely depends on the client budget and the number of days that they have at disposal. Ideally, if you ask me, I would suggest 2 nights minimum at Sentosa, which will give you complete access to the parks. You can do the Adventure Cove Park, you can cover Universal during that time, and cover the major highlights of Sentosa and access the beaches as well. So basically, 2 nights is a bare minimum in Sentosa, and then the predominant of the itineraries will be about 5 nights. The other 3 nights can be put into the city, wherein you cover the different things and the places, whatever we recommend, or are the most sort of the places in Singapore. The city life, the nightlife of Singapore, shopping, all of this can be done in the remaining 3 nights. So, yeah, 2 nights on a definitive you should allocate in Singapore.
From my personal experience, I still remember the 6 o'clock or a 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. evening sea lion show in Singapore Zoo. That was amazing. My kids loved it. So
Yes.
I think that's something travelers can definitely look out for.
Absolutely. Not only that, but the zoo has a lot of personalized experiences. You can have breakfast with the animals. There are multiple choices once you get on the Singapore Zoo website. You can choose what you like, and there are an array of things. You have animal feeding. You have breakfast, like I told you, many things. So it's an array of things. You can just choose and go by, and a lot of time will be needed at the zoo as well.
Okay, just off the track, Akash, I'll ask
Yeah.
you a very tricky question now. So,
Yes, please.
what do you? So, how is it different for travelers to book a trip by themselves and through a travel agency? Do they get some kind of extra perks in terms of cost and comfort when they book through a travel agency?
Okay, great question, by the way, because people are always dicey. Should they book it on their own? Should I take some expert opinion? Obviously, me inside the industry would always bank on a customer coming to us and getting things done. But there are two ways to look at it, and it completely depends on the time that people can allocate to study the destination and the expertise and the travel history that they have. So, if going by it, people have enough amount of time to jot down each and everything, what is good, what is not, putting it all into paper, taking time out, booking everything on their own, and still many a times we have seen that things go haywire. So sometimes they do not look into one aspect, sometimes they do not know what is available, because it is always evolving. Singapore as a destination, every 3 to 4 years we see new things coming up, and people, when they plan itineraries on their own, miss out on a few things. The known things are always there, but the insider things, insider information, how they can actually maximize their time in Singapore, because that is limited, right? People go for 4 or 5 nights or 6 nights at the most. So what they get out of it is predominantly where they should look into consulting with their travel agencies or people from the fraternity. I would highly say they do that, not only because of getting the insights and having the trip planned end to end. When they approach a travel agency, the flow that we take as a company is not only trying to get out, okay, how many nights you want to go, what is it that you want to do, and simple things, but we get into detailing of even their preferences, like what airlines do they generally prefer, what is the food that they prefer. If there are like pure vegetarians, then we would have a specific location or an area which is given to them for the proximity to the restaurants. So all of this, because of our personal travel experiences and expertise of working with multiple clienteles on a day-to-day basis, we have updated information, and we can suggest the clients wherein they don't need to invest time. The most important thing here is time, and they will always get factual information which they can bank on. And I can be 100% sure that if a client comes to create an itinerary with us, or with any travel agency who's known in the industry, their trip overall experience would be much, much higher than what they plan it by self. Uh, in specific, in terms of cost, if I have to put it across to you, yes, because we have some combo deals at times. Sometimes the airlines, we have some special deals. Some hotels are directly contracted with us. Overall, when the client does everything on their own and they take a quote from the agency, overlooking it, probably they might find it about 6-7% on a higher side, or sometimes even 10%, depending on the agency to agency and what they have put in. But there is a lot of convenience factors and factors that the guests don't consider at all. For example, take the transportation into consideration. The biggest cost when you're booking with a travel agency, the point number one is your comfort. You're not having to even open any of the applications, try to go to the stress of waiting for a driver. How am I to get there? What modes of transportation do I use? What time is it going to open? All of this is basically streamlined, given to you, discussed prior, with your preferences put into place. If you're traveling with children, we would account and give you much more things and experiences with what the child can experience, and maximize your holiday experience, even keeping the child in mind. And based on that, the entire curated itinerary, what you will get from a travel agency, will any day stand above what you will create personally. You will go to the same places, do the same things probably, but then there is a degree of comfort. There is a degree of know-how, knowing things, how it is to be done, when it is to be done, what days things are open, what days and what timing some things don't work. All of this will be curated into one detailed itinerary. You get a document to you upfront before your departure, explaining to you your pickup times. All you got to do is be in your lobby. The chauffeur and the driver is going to come, pick you up at that specific time, and take you around, drop you to your location. You get down, proceed to the parks, whatever you want to see, and your driver is again waiting at the speculated your specified time. He comes there, picks you up, and you're dropped back to your hotel. So it's all about convenience today. We have seen a lot of people with the penetration of internet today, and the information available widely. Yes, it is possible, but still there is a lot of element of comfort and accuracy which plays a bigger role when you're booking it through an agency rather than doing it by yourself. I hope I have answered that to your expectation.
Oh yes, definitely, definitely. Because there is a doubt in people's mind that,
Correct.
is it costing less? But I see people moving beyond the costs and looking for
True.
comfort, and that's definitely what you just
Yeah,
mentioned,
post
right?
especially
But
post
yeah,
COVID, especially post COVID, we have seen a drastic surge in customized itineraries, luxury travel happening from India. It has gone leaps and bounds, wherein people used to there was a time they would travel only once in a year, right? An international trip would be like once in a year thing for most of the families. Now we see people traveling every 3 or 4 months. Okay, my kid has a holiday, I would like to travel. With companies being a little more giving a lot of leeway in terms of timings, a lot of new opportunities opening for people, work from home, work at your comfort. So all this has really impacted growth in the travel fraternity. Travel has always been growing exponentially, but the customized travel bit of it has also gone equally. So yes, a lot of credit for that. Yeah.
true, true. But just for a second, let me be the devil's advocate here. So,
Yeah.
do you think Indian travel agencies are reliable and have a good reach and network with local service providers in Singapore?
Oh, yes, definitely. Yes. See, Singapore, probably, if you ask any Indian, what are the three countries that you would visit? I think the second or the third destination will be Singapore. So, that widely Singapore is visited on a day to day basis. You have so many flights connecting from India, from every place. So, the inbound tourism into Singapore is very high. And because of which, travel agencies in India and across probably have had a great advantage selling Singapore. We have regular trade shows. We have invitations from the tourism boards, which keep updating us on the movements, on the highlights, on the new resources that are available to our disposal. What are the new things coming up? So all through our travel fraternity support and the events what come through give us a lot of insight into the destination on a regular basis. So that is one thing that we credit. And plus, as a travel agency, as I told you, they will be credible once you look at how they're performing, how many years they have been into business. One thing that travelers can definitely do is start asking questions to their agencies or whoever their travel planner is. Have you been there? What are like the offbeat places that you would definitely recommend? That is where you start getting the client's confidence. It's not about the general things, booking a flight ticket, just doing your visa. These are things that anybody can do today, but predominantly it's the real information, the current information that people really want to bank on, and that is when they trust travel agencies to plan their itineraries. And Singapore, like I told you, is a go-to destination. So all travel agencies, most of them who have been working, they are very well equipped, they are knowledgeable, they have great infrastructure, and the local tie-ups, whatever we have with, whether it's the transport, whether it's the hotel, the contracts with the hotel, all of this we have real-time information. So definitely they are in safe hands, and they can be rest assured that their trip is going to be planned in the best way possible. Ultimately, it's all about that. People want maximum value for the bucks that they are spending, and I am definitely sure that once they speak to one or two travel agencies, they will be able to boil the scale that, okay, who has better information, who can put more on the plate for you. So it's all about that.
True, true. So let me ask you the same question, Akash. Have you been to Singapore?
Fortunately, thrice till now. In fact, just in the last 3 months, I have had two MICE events. So I was there in 2024 September. I was there in 2024 November again. So yeah, I have been to Singapore in
Great.
2014. We started off in 2011. I have been a very avid traveler. And like I said, if there is a destination that me or any of my teammates have traveled, I can sell that destination like no other, because it gives you such great advantage once you've seen it with your own eyes. There are instances, if I may just highlight. I there's a property called as Novotel Kitchener. This property has been like the go-to property for 50% or 60% of the Indians. It's so well located, being the closest proximity to the MRT station if they want to go to the metro, being accessible to about 25 to 30 vegetarian and Indian cuisine restaurants. They can just walk out. And when I'm referring to the instances, we tell on call to clients that, hey, you know what? You step out of your hotel, take 20 steps on your left, you will see Komla's Villas, which is the most famous pure vegetarian restaurant in Singapore. You walk down, take the left, you'll find MTR, Swarna Bhavan. All of this are located just at that. So, the client is so well prepared, he can just put his bags down and walk across. So that is the confidence and the tools that we give the clients for building their confidence and making their journey absolutely memorable.
That's great.